Hello crafters, this is Yana Smakula. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a super funny card to share. When was the last time you made a card with an image of toilet paper and poop? I bet the answer is never. And that was the answer for me up until I made this card, and I have to say I kinda enjoyed it. You have your traditional cards, the classy, the elegant, the cards you'd give to an acquaintance or to a friend who isn't a very close friend. You also have your, little funny cards, which you give to people you know a little better. You know that they have a good sense of humor and you know that they will get a kick out of that card. And then there's that one special friend who has been with you through thick and thin and who really gets you. And that's the kind of friend who will get the toilet paper and the poop card. I'm using a brand new stamp set from Kathy Zelski and Simon Says stamp called Giggles and this stamp set is fun and quirky. Some people might find it appalling because of the images in here. But you know what? We all need a good laugh from time to time, so why not have a stamp set like this, and why not make a card with toilet paper and poop? Okay, I decided to do a super simple design here. After all, this card is not about the design, it's about the images, it's about the sentiment, so there's no need to go all crazy and come up with some unique design idea. You already have the unique component through the images in this set. So I stamped the toilet paper roll and the poop image in Memento Tuxedo black ink onto Simon Says stamp 130-pound cardstock. Love this paper, by the way, cannot recommend it enough. Do get it for your stamping needs. You will thank me later. This paper is fabulous. Now, I love that these images have little hands and little feet and little faces to them. So adorable. I mean, gross, of course, but adorable at the same time. I don't know how that can be, but it totally is. I also heat embossed the "oh crap" sentiment in white embossing powder. This was Simon Says stamp detail white powder on black cardstock. Here I have the new Simon Says stamp embossing powder tool, and oh my gosh, you guys, this tool is amazing. It is so much more convenient than the other tools that I have had before, because none of this anti-static powder gets on my hands. It is all hands-free. The tool dispenses just the perfect amount of powder. My heat embossing is, perfect. I don't have any stray embossing powder particles. It's a wonderful tool to use. And I just don't know how I did my heat embossing before without this tool. I recommend getting this stamp set with a set of coordinating dies. That way you will be able to cut the images out and the sentiments out as well. And that's exactly what I did for my card. Now, I also did minimal coloring on my stamped images. The poop had to be colored brown, of course, but I also used a light gray to add some barely visible shading to the toilet paper roll. I'm using Olo markers here. You can just as easily color these using any other alcohol markers, or pencils or whatever you like to use. So I used the dark brown for the inside of the toilet paper roll. And I also added blush using a pale pink marker. And then more shading using the light grays, which were blended out with a colorless blender or a zero marker. Next, I used browns to color poop. And here I did some creative coloring. So I first extended the stamped lines into the image using the darkest brown to help add shape and shading to this image. Next, I did the usual by coming in with a medium brown and blending that in to the white, and also a light brown by coloring the rest of the image. I used coordinating dies and cut these out. I love that the dies also cut out the little hands and the little feet. I think that's what makes these images acceptable. I guess that's the word that I'm looking for. So the feet make them acceptable and the faces make them acceptable as well. Next, I used a rectangle die from Spellbinders to cut a panel of sea glass cardstock. I needed to have a panel that's smaller than an A2 card, as I wanted to foam mount that panel onto a white card base and then have a slight white border around my main panel. I also needed a smaller panel because my images are on the smaller side and they would have been lost if I didn't add this smaller panel. I could have used the sea glass cardstock for the card background without cutting a panel, but I feel because the images are smaller, I needed to make a smaller panel to help balance the design, I guess. I then placed that panel inside my Mini Misty stamping tool and I planned my image placement. So it's all very simple here. I have the toilet paper and the poop die cuts, the oh crap heat emboss sentiment, and I want to add a sub sentiment and stamp it under the oh crap. Now I used gray ink here, charcoal, a dark gray. And the reason I used gray instead of black, it would have been obvious, to use black. But the reason I used brown is gray. Of course, the reason I used gray is because I also wanted to add some gray shadow under my die cuts. So I'll have additional gray on my card and it will all be tied together. Now, there are many ways to add shadow under an image, and the easiest is probably by drawing your shadow in using a marker. You can use like a Copic marker or an Olo marker and basically scribble some shading under the image. But I wanted to have an oblong oval shape under my image. So I made a mask using printer paper. This is super easy to do, and I do this from time to time. So I first drew a shadow shape using a pencil. I tested it with one of my images to see if the size of the shadow would work, and then I cut it out using scissors. I didn't actually cut the shape out, I only cut the opening for the shape. So that gave me a simple mask to ink blend a shadow anywhere on my panel. I'm sure there is a stencil somewhere out there with a similar shape that you can use, but making a mask like this it's super easy. It took me less than 2 minutes to make. Now, with the images positioned on the card, I placed my mask over them exactly where I needed the shadow to be, and then I simply ink blended the opening using my charcoal ink. So that's the same ink color that I use for stamping the sub-sentiment. I first did some very light blending, but I didn't like that. It was too pale, it was not distinctive enough. So I went back with a much heavier hand and did a solid dark gray shadow, and I love that much better. I did the same thing for the second image, but I flipped the mask upside down so that the blended shadow shape is not identical, kind of is mirrored a little bit. Next, I added foam adhesive squares and foam mounted my images onto my sea glass cardstock panel, making sure that the little hands touch as if they're holding them. And I don't know, isn't that just adorable? I don't know, it just looks really cute. Finally, I used a layer of white fun foam to pop the sea glass panel up on my card, and this added some dimension, and the fun foam provided a solid layer of dimension, so there's no sagging. I also used a white jelly roll pen. This is Sakura in size 0.5, so the smallest one, and added some white detail dots. And I embellished my card using sparkling clear sequins from Pretty Pink Posh. I used the new Simon Says Stamp embellishment wand to pick up and position my sequins. And I kind of love this tool. It's very handy to use when working with small images or, small die cuts or small embellishments like these. So this finishes my card. I hope you like it. I hope you'll give this idea a try. I know it's very unusual, but I had fun making it. I wanted to do something different and I enjoyed it. And that's the whole point. As long as you enjoy what you make, it doesn't matter what images you're using. Now, this video is a part of a blog hop. I'm excited to join Simon Says Stamp for their new release hop. There are details, there's a giveaway, and all of the hop info is on my blog. You can find a link to that in the video description below. Thanks for spending time with me today. Love you guys, and I'll see you next time.